Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coyote Clockwork. I came across a tutorial on just how to draw people that was just really good. It was really relaxing to watch and informative to watch. The person really knew their stuff and it was just all about structural drawing. So I thought, why don't I do a structural tutorial on horses? Whee! This is not as structural as I would like it to be. I feel like I'm kind of BSing a lot and maybe not being as helpful as I could. However, this is a good baseline. Angles are really important when you are drawing. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Angles, angles, angles when you are drawing a horse. The subtlety of the angle in a horse is the difference between lightning and lightning bug. You have to really pay attention because there is so much subtlety in horses. So that would be like my first thing, is like, you kind of can't go wrong, even if they're kind of like stiff at first, by really structurally drawing a horse and paying attention to how things come together and the lines that need to happen over and over and over again, because like the belly line is important. The top line is the most important line that you'll ever draw on a horse. So just using this kind of basic stuff allows me to create marks, create landmarks, and there is an ugly stage. Like right now, this is not a good representation of the horse that I'm drawing, but I'm just figuring out where things are. I'm problem solving, and this is the kind of stuff that I do long before I have a working drawing that is actually on Bristol board, or I started working on illustration board recently. Finding the middle is very important. You can see that I do it right here. Finding the middle is just a really good structural tactic, that you know one half of the leg mirrors the other half of the leg, and that if you're doing it right, that your proportions are correct. Another thing that's important about this horse is that it is Spanish. Spanish horses are everywhere. They have a huge influence throughout the world. Mustangs are Spanish. Any horse that exists on the continent of South America is Spanish. And most Spanish blood came from the Andalusian, which is a very, very old horse breed. But even older than that is the Berber, or the Spanish Barb, which is believed to be about 6,000 years old. So this is an important element of horses to like research and to look at and to pay attention to. Spanish horses are very attractive. People find them beautiful. They have very, what they call, fine heads. They have a large eye. Pretty much any horse that you've ever seen in a movie is probably Andalusian or Andalusian influence, like a Frisian horse. Those are the all-black horses, and Zorro rode a Frisian, and they called it a black Andalusian in the film. So this sort of stuff is important to know. Like, if you know, like, okay, I'm looking at a Spanish horse, I know what I need to emphasize. I need to emphasize that they have abundant mane and tail. I need to emphasize that they have kind of short backs. And I need to emphasize that they have very beautiful heads. Another thing about this is the reference that I'm using is not the best because you can't see the actual hooves of the horse. And I would recommend that you do that if you are a beginner, is make sure that you can see the hooves in their entirety. Because this horse is standing a little awkward. He's just kind of chilling. So, like, he is weight-bearing on his front legs, and he's curious about something, because you can see his ears are coming forward, and that he's also kind of slightly turned his body towards what he's interested in. So there is some body language going on here that's, you know, fairly subtle. This horse is just checking things out. And this is my underdrawing as I transfer to a real drawing. And sometimes the point of an underdrawing is about where you've already been. And even if that's the wrong place to be, you know that, and you're not going to be repeating it the same way. So I get much more clean lines. I get lines with a lot more intention. This is about how to make something ugly into something beautiful, because you are transferring the information that you already know and making it into something else, a more pleasing shape for your viewer. In the case of this horse, it's much cleaner lines, and this horse gets a lot of bridgeman. There's a lot of exaggeration that's more about the ideal horse than necessarily what this animal might be showing. But a lot of equine fine art deals in absolutes that are ideal. You're not drawing Seabiscuit with his janky racing leg. You are drawing the perfect horse. The lines on this could be better, but that's the difference between a drawing that you spend an hour on versus a drawing that you spend 10 hours on. And I certainly have done better horses because I have invested more time in them. But I'm also trying here to really emphasize the anatomy. It's like, the knees are very square. The fetlocks kind of have a double line, one line that goes in and one line that goes out. And that's how a lot of cannon bones are shaped. And the cannon bone is the lower foreleg bone. And a lot of people can have trouble with that. That I see a lot of people that can't get how a horse is that thin down there and still like really powerful and agile. Here I'm shifting my sketch a little bit because I felt like my proportions were off. And that's okay to do too. I mean, that's why you have drawing that you do on your tablet. Going back over this, so I will definitely like my next round of this. I would like to do more rectangles and simple shapes off the bat so that people can get more of that. Because a lot of this I'm just like BSing because I know my horse anatomy. And that's not necessarily helpful to people who don't know the anatomy like I do. This is also like where the underdrawing disappears and I start looking at like what actually works and what I like. I am definitely always going back to my reference. And reference is important to use with horses because they can be very subtle. They're, like I said, like this dude kind of turning his hooves. Like if I had drawn this without reference, I absolutely would have done his hooves facing forward. And instead, I got that he's kind of a slightly more thoughtful animal, that he is resting, but that he's turned his chest a little bit. He's not standing 100% straight. I really like that. I'm also like zooming in here because I want to do the face right. And there's a lot of subtlety in the face when it is, especially when it's 3/4. Like when you draw a horse in profile, it's very easy to capture like, okay, these are the lines that make up the face, and you always have the break in the skull. So that's just a basic structural drawing. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe, and I will do another one of these hopefully fairly quickly. Thanks a lot.